you guys? bakerXderek here. Today I'm going to show you and tell you how it feels to ride a motorcycle for the first time and help you with your first steps on taking your first ride on a two-wheeled freedom machine. Let's get started. First, you'll need your motorcycle. Your motorcycle will come in many varieties, shapes, and sizes, but it's up to you to ride what you want to ride. Don't let anybody tell you any otherwise. First, you want to get started by turning your key, like so. Next, you're going to want to start your ignition, like so. And then... you guys, never mind that intro, I was just fucking around. I just wanted to bring you a different video, actually, something different than the usual motovlog, dual sport adventure, whatever. And I wanted to talk about what it's like, how it is, and what to expect the first time you ride a motorcycle. Yeah, man, fucking bitch. Now, for many of you, you want to start riding a motorcycle for the sheer fact of either you have a love for being on two wheels, you like the freedom, which is probably the most popular one. You like the freedom of doing shit like this that you normally can't do in a car unless you're in like a Jeep or some shit. And all in all, whether you like it or not, you become part of a brotherhood. And that's something you really don't realize at all until you actually start riding. And one thing you'll notice the first time you start riding and you're on the road, you'll come across another rider and you'll notice him putting his hand out at you and shit, like so. Doing a little biker wave, this, that, this, YMCA, you know, whatever. And you're gonna soon realize that you're part of a little brotherhood of riders. You know, everybody, all riders get their backs. You know, it's funny, whenever I'm riding with other people, or not with other people, whenever I'm riding alone and I come across other people, I'll tend to just cruise along with them. You know, if we're going the same way the whole time, I notice, you know, we're all sitting side by side. You know, it's a friendly community to be in. It's cool. You'll meet people you never thought you'd meet. You'll meet friends in the most weirdest ways. I've met friends just in gas stations. One guy sitting there wiping his bike down, waiting for another group of bikers. And next thing you know, I went on a 400-mile trip with them, and had to watch two of them go down. And you know, it's crazy. It's crazy. Even the people you meet. First thing I want to say is, if you're intimidated on riding one, if you think they're dangerous, they're only dangerous when you make them dangerous. When you see all those motorcycle crash videos, you hear people saying they had a family member that died. Yeah, it does happen. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, and I'm not saying there's a safer to ride than anything else. But when you ride fully alert all the time, and you know, you keep a 360 vision around you at all times, as in always looking behind you, beside you, and in front of you, pretty much within a 10-second interval at all times, you know, it keeps you safer. You don't ride like an idiot. You know, if you want, you can ride a motorcycle just like you drive a car. Like, you can just chill, go slow with the speed limit, cruise with cars. It's no big deal. Or you can, you know, if you're one of them people that want to have fun and you're an adrenaline junkie, you want to fucking try some crazy shit. Try some crazy shit. You know, you're only gonna get hurt if you make yourself get hurt. Now, the other side of that is other drivers, which seem to be probably about 60 to 80% of the car crashes and other in other senses. That's how most other shit happens, from cars pulling out, cars cutting you off, etc. So one thing I'd say to expect when starting to ride a motorcycle is put all that fear and anxiety aside that you have. I know some people don't have it. I mean, props to you, but anybody who rides a motorcycle for the first time, even a little bike like this will feel intimidating to you. That first bit of pull from the clutch like that, it's just the fear of the unknown. That's simple as it is. Everybody has that problem. But like everything else in life, you get used to it. You do that clutch pull 100 times, next thing you know, you're riding this thing around town like nothing. Then you're gonna start learning little simple mechanics like counter steering. Push left, go left, push right, go right on the bar. And counter steering is basically like it is. You're pushing left on the bar to go left, pushing right on the right. So in another sense, you're pulling right to go left, and you're pulling left to go right. That's what your counter steering is, and that's the number one 110% correct way to steer a motorcycle, no matter what anybody says. That's how you turn a motorcycle. And that's something that's very good to know when you first start riding a motorcycle, even if you've never ridden one before. Always good to know that shit. And another thing that's good to know before you start riding is how to downshift. And obviously that's something that you do with practice. It's not something you just say, oh, this is how you do it, and then you get on the bike and something, which is this. Which in a sense is I'm pulling the clutch in, giving it some rev to rev match. Since I'm going to a lower gear, I need a rev match to the high RPM, and basically I'm using my transmission as well as brakes to slow me down. That's perfect to use in any situation, even especially emergency situations, like if a car pulls out in front of you. That'll slow you down real quick. But when you first ride, just try it out in the parking lot for a little while. It's not that bad, especially if you're riding some like dual sport. I always tell people who ask me what's the first bike they should get, a dual sport. Anybody can handle a dual sport. If you get something like a 600cc, now mind you, if you've never ridden a bike and you don't feel like you have any common sense for like riding bikes and stuff, you might want to take it easy on getting a 600. I'd go for like a perfect bike, I say. Now this is a universal bike for anybody. A Yamaha WR250F or X. Or I mean 250X. Just that one. The F is off-road only, I forgot. You get one of those though and you get used to it, you'll be doing these in no time. So you don't have to take my advice on this, and I know a lot of you guys like street bikes, but I always tell people dual sports are the best bikes. They're cheap. If I drop this, I have hand guards on here that'll hit the ground, so I'll just have like scraped up hand guards, and you know, like everything on a dirt bike is so cheap to fix. Not to mention this thing is about half, if not less than half, as cheap as my ZX6R to insure. And damn, the place is crazy. And not to mention, you know, the gas mileage you're gonna get on these, you get like 70 to 80 gas mileage on 250cc. So right there alone, there's another huge benefit. And like I said, there's an upright position like this. It's comfortable. It's like you're sitting on a lazy boy. That is, unless you don't have a comfortable seat, then it gets pretty shitty after a little while. And if you're buying a motorcycle, you won't always expect to have to pay all the extra money for gear, insurance, registration. So say you have enough for a motorcycle, make sure you have enough for all that shit too. Because once you get the bike, you need a helmet, you want your jacket, you want gloves, you need all that shebang bang. Not to mention you need to be legal and register and insure your shit. Especially being a newer rider. And I know people that get full coverage insurance. I know I've never had that on my bike because I always get my shit used. But I know the people that, some people have full coverage, they could total their shit and have their bike all replaced or get a new bike, some people. So it's always worth getting your shit insured. Another thing you're going to want to do is try to ride side streets, like little ones like these. Excuse my squeaky ass brakes. That way, you know, you get a sense of riding in traffic, stopping at stop signs and lights and whatnot, and it gives you, like, you know, that street practice. Then once you get on the street, it's nothing, and the freeway's nothing either, especially when you have a nice stable bike. Ooh, the elote lady. But yeah, when you get on your bike for the first time, you know, get your clutch play. Find out where your clutch release is at. Find out, you know, find out how many gears it is so you know how to play. Make sure you know, find out how many gears it is so you know where you're shifting. Find out the shift pattern. Most bikes are obviously the same, but you never know. Some shit's different. I had a pit bike and it was what was it? All the way down was neutral and it was 4 up. You know what I'm saying? Some little shit like that. That is a pit bike, but hey, just saying. So make sure you learn your little tricks and tips and little things to know before you ride. That way when you ride, when the real moment happens where you need to learn those little tips and tricks and whatnot, and you need, like, for instance, an emergency comes through and you need to do an emergency brake real fast, you'll know how to do it. You'll know how to downshift. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where I'm at. And if you're buying a bike used, or any vehicle for that matter, you want to make sure you bring a second set of eyes with you at all times. That way they can, especially somebody mechanically inclined. If you're getting a new, make sure you're not getting fucked over. It's another thing. Make sure you bring somebody that knows what they're talking about when buying some new shit. Because those guys will throw all this extra shit at you, throw all these extra prices at you, tell you you need this, that, and the other, tell you you need a fucking concrete dildo to fucking shove up your ass on rainy days. They'll fucking tell you the stupidest shit. Hey, what? But the moral to this video is just to tell you to go ahead and grab that bike that you've always been wanting and go out and have the time of your life and go adventure all over the world with it, or as much as you can. Well, that's going to go ahead and conclude today's video. If it helped you out, if the tips were anything useful for you, go ahead and hit the out of that like button, and you guys have a real good day. See you later, guys.